Hello, welcome back. Thank you for joining me today. We're moving on in the text of A Course in Miracles today. We're on chapter 23, section 2, which is a very, very interesting section. Of course, they all are. And yeah, I would say that. Eh, of course I would. But it's very true. This section is entitled The Laws of Chaos. So we're going to take a look here at the laws that keep the ego's thought system in place. And you can put quotation marks around laws here. It's just a term, a word that we use. Not a single one of them is remotely true. Yet we've chosen to have these so-called laws govern our entire experience, all of it, and we blindly adhere to it. And then when we recognize what we're doing, which you do, or you wouldn't be here, then we willingly do it anyway because we're conditioned to do it. So enter A Course in Miracles, a course in mind training where we go about changing our mind. And that's what this is all about. So what do? We look right at all of this untruth and we go beyond it. We look at illusions and go beyond them. So, yes, this means on a most adult level, looking at our stuff, not hiding it, which is what we like to do, shelving it, stuffing it away in a dark corner for tomorrow or the next day or some future time, mañana, mañana, and not looking at it right now, which is what we do. Look at it, go beyond it. We don't overcome illusions by doing battle with them. That makes them very real in our mind. We simply look beyond them, look at them, and go beyond. You don't have to fight or struggle at all. And we're conditioned to do pitched battle, of course, yet enter A Course in Mind training. Now, if you're new or newer to A Course in Miracles, that may, in fact, not be what you thought it was. Well, I mean, we often think something is something it's not. It looks attractive, or it sounds attractive, or it has a cool title, A Course in Miracles. Hey, I could use some miracles. Of course you could. So stick around. Yeah, this may not be what you thought it was, but I mean, what did you think it was, actually? I mean, that's always a good question for ourselves. It's one of those, let's check our motives kind of question. It can be really, really helpful on the spiritual path because the spiritual path is all about being 100% completely honest with ourselves. As I'm fond of saying, and I've been hinting at here the last couple of minutes, it's an adult endeavor. It's for grown-ups because we look at our stuff right at it, not hiding it, not shirking away from it, looking at it and going beyond it. So, what are these so-called laws that we're talking about? The laws of chaos. Well, number one, the first law of chaos is this belief that truth is different for everybody. It's different for everybody. Well, our experience here in the world as an individual self-sustaining survival unit, i.e., an ego, an individual human being, a complete mistake. The ego is a mistake. There is no separation of any kind. Yet, while we believe that we are indeed separate from every other living thing and separate from God, which we're not, of course, and you do know that, while we believe we're doing this, we get ourselves into one situation after another, and that is putting it very mildly, isn't it? Very mildly and, well, softly. We mess ourselves up. You're welcome to insert a different verb there. And we do that to ourselves, don't we? All the time. So, this first law of chaos, we believe that truth is different for everybody. It's not. Truth is true. It's true. Now, you may have heard the terms absolute and relative truth. This is an idea that runs throughout Eastern philosophy. If you are a Buddhist or you've studied Buddhism or you're familiar with traditions like this, you'll have heard this term before. The relative truth is the laws that govern this world, which aren't true. Absolute truth is truth, which is, it simply is. So, yeah, relative truth is this first law of chaos. It isn't true. How can we say this with 100% certainty? There is no world. You heard that right. Central teaching of A Course in Miracles. The world itself is an illusion. The physical body is an illusion. You, however, are not an illusion. You're not a body, which, of course, we all deep down know. Doesn't mean we have to recognize it. Doesn't mean we have to want to believe that. And it doesn't mean that we have to follow this course at all. In fact, you're welcome to put this down. I mean, this is the internet. You can scroll away. Nobody's going to stop you. Yet you've been drawn to this material for a reason. So here in the world, we think truth is different for everybody. One person looks at a situation completely differently than somebody else, and to them, their view is true. Your view is true for you. It appears to be relative, based on the individual's proclivities, based on their own historical perspectives, on what they had for breakfast this morning, depending on all of these other things, these other layers and complications. Let's take, for example, a painting, a work of art. One person could love and adore it and be deeply, deeply touched and moved. And the other person could look at that, dismiss it, and say, that's not art. That's ugly. Case in point. So here's why this idea is a law of chaos and is manifestly not true at all. There is no order of difficulty in miracles. There is no hierarchy. There's no difference. That's sentence one. There is no order of difficulty in miracles. It is the very first sentence of chapter one of the text. That's how this course leads off. What this means is there is only perfect oneness. All of our gradations and hierarchies and relative judgments here in the world as ugly, beautiful, beautiful, ugly, kind of in between. This painting's more beautiful than this painting, and this painting, uh, that's not art. That's nothing. I would throw that away. And another person thinks it belongs in the Louvre, right? Relative truth, or so we call it truth. It's not true. There is no hierarchy. All hierarchies, all orders of difficulty, all gradations, all segmentations and fragmentations are illusory. We made them up. They are nothing. They're complete fabrications of our mind. Not a single one of them is true. The miracle, there is no order of difficulty in miracles, corrects all mistakes. All illusions, when brought to truth, are simply, they simply disappear. They're shined away by the light of truth, which simply shines them away. Why? Because they're untrue. All illusions are untrue. So there's no order of difficulty in removing them. We simply bring them all to truth. So this world remains in place in our mind because we think that truth is different for everybody. It is not different. There are no differences at all. It is completely one. So that's the first law of chaos. The second is this belief that everyone must sin and therefore deserves punishment and death. Not too pretty. Everyone must sin, therefore everyone deserves death and punishment. Yes, you've been bad and naughty. You're going to be punished. That kind of attitude, scary, not too helpful at all. You may very well have been raised in a tradition that talks about sin all the time. I certainly was. I was raised in not one, but two, in fact, what we could call here rather fundamentalist Christian traditions. By fundamentalist, the prevailing attitude that we're talking about here is our building's the only building. And you look around and well, I sure see lots of other buildings out there. I even see lots of other churches out there. How come your building monopolizes the truth and the other one's wrong? Hmm? Tell me that. Now, you may not have asked that question. I actually did more than once over the years, suffering through a longer than I wanted it to be Sunday school class. Perhaps you can relate to that. I mean, what this represents here as a course student, fast forward, is a giant forgiveness opportunity on a platter, quite naturally. Yet, I questioned that, and perhaps you did too. A number of us come to A Course in Miracles, or let's just say more appropriately, it finds us as adults because we've been doing this deep level of questioning. I mean, at the same time, we're told God's perfect love. Yes, of course. And we're also told that we're sinners that must sin and therefore deserve death and punishment. Now, ask yourself this: how can perfect love condemn? How is that possible? And when you answer, well, it cannot or it would not be perfect love, yes. No, you don't have to believe any of this. Again, you have the free will to deny this categorically, and you're welcome to do that. I certainly won't stop you. Not a single one of us will stop you. Only yourself. Again, adult responsibility for grown-ups. This conversation appears to be happening because we have shirked this responsibility time and again and run off and wanted to keep our little egos to ourselves. How's that working out? I mean, you may have a lot of money in this lifetime. You may be very happily married or in a loving and committed romantic partnership in this world. You may have lots of cool stuff, a beautiful home, nice fine threads, and you may drink really fabulous, tasty bottles of wine from the left bank of Bordeaux or something like that. Maybe a nice little Pauillac. Yeah, maybe Margot with a nice long finish. I mean, I'm just saying. You may have things like that, yet nothing in this world lasts at all, including the world itself, which is an illusion. There is no sin. Part of you has always known that. Doesn't mean that you have to accept that. It's up to you. Think about it, though. Perfect love does not condemn. It cannot. God cannot condemn. Why? There is no separation of any kind. God has no ego to be offended, so he is not offended at what we call our misdeeds. Perfect love doesn't even know about them and recognize our little wars and our internal battles with ourselves, at which we gnaw away at ourselves and berate and belittle ourselves and eat ourselves alive in the mind. He doesn't even know about that. God has no ego to be offended. That's why this law that everyone must sin and therefore deserves punishment is a law of chaos to be set aside, looked at, and gone beyond. Just set it aside. God has no ego to be offended. Now, if you are practicing one of these traditions that insists that there is a sin and we're a sinner, this is going to seem completely wrong to you. Do with it whatever you want to do with it. This video series is about A Course in Miracles, not someone's interpretation of A Course in Miracles, the Course itself, what it says and what it means. So take it for whatever you wish to take it for. And may it be an opportunity and an inspiration to practice this course, which is how we learn it. So our mistakes here are simply that. They're mistakes. They're not a sin against anyone. There is no separate other to transgress, which means we don't actually transgress each other either. Despite all appearances, there's only perfect oneness. Despite what we look at and appear to see on the surface of life, here on this wobbling, spinning, illusory ball of rock, itself an illusion. We can choose to accept this truth just as it is, which is very powerful. Mistakes call for correction, not punishment. So this course is all about allowing our inner teacher to correct our perception so that we may see things as they really are. This second law of chaos is very devastating to our minds when we adhere to it. And it leads to the third law of chaos, which is really unfortunate, believing that everyone must sin. We arrogantly, very arrogantly, assume that God agrees with us and is going to strike us down. We arrogantly impute a punitive will onto the Creator. We automatically assume that because we think we're sinning, that God agrees that we're sinning and is going to strike us down from on high, thunderbolts from Olympus. Boom. This is the extraordinary arrogance of the ego at play, making a gross assumption. Again, perfect love doesn't strike down from on high. It does not condemn, or it would not be perfect love. Perfect love isn't capable of hatred, it's love. This third law of chaos just entrenches this idea of separation between God and ourselves running amok. And we assume also that every other living thing is separate from us. We're arrogantly assuming that God must accept our erroneous beliefs, our mistaken beliefs about ourselves. Yeah, he must believe that. So he's going to get us. So we run around in terror and fear, afraid of love, afraid of God, fear of love. It's the same. And it's very devastating. Now, you may live in a society that talks about fear of God as though it were a cultural badge of honor, a handy label to have around. Did you ever question that? And if you are right now, excellent. See, we're invited to question everything. I absolutely invite you to question the truth and veracity of what this pixelated image on your screen, which is all that you're looking at, by the way. Question the truth and veracity of what it appears to say, if you want to. Again, it's talking about this course, A Course in Miracles, which says what it says. I mean, it does. It says what it says. You're welcome to question that all you want. And if you do, not a problem at all. Here's what I want you to do. Keep going with your questioning, please. Keep questioning. And don't stop at merely questioning the truth and veracity of a talking head on your screen. Don't stop at questioning the truth and veracity of this big blue bound book or information from this book that appears online. Don't stop with that. Keep going with this questioning because it can be really, really helpful. Continue to question until you find yourself questioning the very foundations of everything you now believe and question those. Keep going in the comments that go along with the workbook for students, Jesus invites us to do just this. Question the very foundations of everything you now believe. And well, because you're watching this video, I know you're ready to do that. And you may legitimately decide, yeah, not today. That's fine. You'll come back to this deep level of questioning. Maybe not in this lifetime. When, who, I don't know. It's up to you. That's the theme, isn't it? Adult responsibility. It's up to you. You could embrace that, or you could continue to shirk this responsibility and say, no, I would rather be the victim of this illusion that I've made. You're not the victim of the world you see. You can't be. What world? What this all means is we're perfectly at home where we've always been, in God. We're known here in A Course in Miracles as the thought of God, the Son of God. All of us, not just the historical Jesus. We're all the creation of God. God's the creator. We are the created. We're perfectly at home in God, where we've always been. Because thoughts remain in the mind of the thinker. You're the thought of God. Where are you? Exactly. It's phrased in this way here in A Course in Miracles. It's one of the foundational thoughts, the foundational ideas of this entire course, and it's this: ideas leave not their source. Thoughts remain in the mind of the thinker. Ideas leave not their source, capital S, which, again, we all deep down know. Which does not mean that we have to choose to accept it, and you could do otherwise. It's up to you. Again, adult responsibility. Should you choose to listen to the voice of the Holy Spirit, our inner teacher, the voice for God, which goes by many names, by the way, even here in A Course in Miracles itself, it goes by a lot of different names. Should you choose to listen to this, you've got a powerful guide. If you're taking a look at all of this responsibility and thinking, I could use some guidance, yes, that guidance is available to you. First and foremost, the guidance, the loving, patient, certain guidance of the Holy Spirit, our inner teacher, that's available to you. The assistance of Jesus, the Holy Spirit, same, available to you. And there is help available here in this illusory world. And this channel is one such place, one of many, of course. But the questions, the comment thread here on YouTube is a very good place to reach out and ask questions should you have them. And you're more than welcome to reach out and to do just that. These questions can be about A Course in Miracles itself, spirituality in general, and even if you just wish to pop in and say hello, I'd love to hear from you. So please go ahead and do that if you'd like to. Now, if you have not yet subscribed, please go ahead and do that. I'd love to have you join us. This is the prompt in the corner of your screen. Just click this icon over here, and you'll be invited to join us. Several videos appear each week. We're going through the text of A Course in Miracles, which, well, if you haven't looked at it, you'll be able to see really quickly that it's long. There you go. It's long. There's a lot there. And that's what we're going through here. And I'm always more than willing to pause this moment by moment procession through the text to address any questions that you might have. And if it looks like it's going to take too much typing to answer it right here in the comment thread, I'll simply say that I'd love to do a standalone video on that. And those are very, very valuable questions because everyone gets to see the response. And your question could deeply impact somebody on the other side of the world, which is very cool. We can use this technology to share the love of the Holy Spirit. That's exactly what's going on right here, right now. Okay? So I thank you for joining me, and I will talk to you soon.